I want to share some thoughts with you about the inspired workplace. There's a global shift happening right now, and this global shift is from the age of materialism to the age of transcendence. That means that we're moving from material want to meaning want. And if we're going to take organizations to the age of transcendence, where people are asking for more purpose and more passion in their work, we're going to have to develop organizations that are massively human. So I want to share a few elements with you this morning about organizations that are on the journey to becoming massively human. The first element is what I call being versus doing. And I want to share a little story with you about being. Some years ago, very close friends of our family were on their way to home from Ottawa. Their names were Frank and Janet, and they were involved in a head-on collision. And tragically, Janet was killed instantly, and Frank was hospitalized for months. When I heard that news, I was totally immobilized. I just couldn't do anything. I didn't know what to do, so I didn't do anything. I didn't go to the funeral. I didn't visit Frank in the hospital. I was totally immobilized. Some months later, a friend of mine told me that Frank really wanted to see me. So I went to see Frank. I mustered my courage and I went. And as I went into the door, Frank just hugged me. And you can imagine he was a tall, 6'4" Dutch guy, laughter, and he hugged me and we both cried uncontrollably. And that night we sat on his floor and we cried and we laughed and we cried and we laughed some more. And somebody told me at one point in my life that we quickly forget the people that we laugh with, but we never forget the people that we cry with. And that's been so true. But what was life-changing for me, what was changing my leadership, was what happened as I was about to leave that night. I looked at Frank and I said, Frank, I'm so sorry that I didn't come to see you earlier. I'm sorry I didn't go to the funeral. I'm sorry I wasn't the friend that you needed at your greatest time of need. I said, you see, Frank, I just didn't know what to do. And Frank looked at me with his accepting eyes, and he said, Hugh, I didn't need you to do anything. I just wanted you to be with me. That was a powerful lesson for me as a leader. We need to be with people in organizations. We don't need to fix everything. In fact, we can't fix everything. So many things are out of our control. We need leaders today that are not heroes. We need leaders that are healers. So being is the first element in creating a massively human organization. The second element is to encourage employees to find their voice. The word voice is so important. Early in my career, I worked in jail. Sometimes I have to say I worked there because people get confused when I just say I was in jail. The inmates used to tell me the worst kind of punishment they could give to another inmate was to put them on the dummy. That's what they used to call it. Put them on the dummy. And that's to pretend that they don't exist, that they don't mean anything. How many of us put each other on the dummy in the workplace today? As we enter the age of transcendence, that's no longer feasible. It's no longer sustainable. We're not called to put each other on the dummy. We're called to give each other a voice. And people, more and more, millennials, boomers, and everything in between, are calling to have a voice in the workplace. Other elements of creating an organization that's massively human is what I call the 3 Ps. The first one is protection. We have to give each other protection in the workplace. We have to get the message across that somebody's got your back. In our workplace, 6 years ago, we created what we call leadership circles. And in leadership circles, there's a group of 8 or 10 people who meet once a month for a morning or an afternoon over 2 years. And in that circle, they become very close. They share their lives, they share their work struggles, and they develop a sense of belonging, a sense of hope. It's like an oasis in the workplace. And when we studied the impact on the organization, we realized that our leadership circles were twice as engaged as the other members in the organization. And our organization has fairly large engagement score. In fact, we're higher than the Canadian average. But the people in leadership circles were twice as engaged. Why? Because they're treated as human beings. Why? Because their hopes are ignited. That's why. The second P is the permission. The permission to fail, because we're all going to fail. If we want innovation in a workplace, we're going to fail. Permission to fail. And that's what's led us to create innovation labs. A few years ago, we went to Harvard and Boston, and we looked at their innovation labs, and we said, help us to develop ours. And they helped us to develop ours. And this year, we're going to be working with Harvard University to measure what innovation looks like in a workplace. It's fantastic. It's exciting. But our innovation labs are filled with people that come out of leadership circles, that come out of the organizations, and they build community. You know, building community in the workplace is so important because community gives us a fresh hope. It gives us a fresh energy. And none of us can live without hope. We all need it in our lives, and we need it desperately. And the third P is potency. The recognition that everyone in the workplace has strengths, has gifts, has something beautiful to offer. It's like going on a mining expedition, mining for gold, looking for the gold that's in everybody, looking for the gold that's in everyone. That's what potency means. If we're going to have an organization that's massively human, we're going to have to learn how to be with each other in the organization. We're going to have to find our voice. We're going to have to offer protection. We're going to have to give permission. And we're going to have to look for the potency in people. So, to develop organizations that are massively human, we need to really, really believe in our hearts of hearts, especially as leaders, that everyone who breathes in our organization is precious. When we treat people as precious, we build organizations that are massively human. And as we enter the age of transcendence, we have to build these kinds of organizations. The organizations that don't do it, do so at their peril. Thank you very much.